you have something prepared for me, and I prepared something for you. And you will be, because you're the guest in this, I'm the host. So you will be the first to join in with whatever you have prepared for me. And I'm excited.
How
So
exciting.
let's
Yeah, me
go.
too. Yeah, yeah. You don't want to, were you going to ask me how I started stories
Oh,
or?
yeah, it's true. Well, the format of this is very simple. I ask you first, how did you start playing your instrument? And after that, I will listen to whatever you bring in. So, Neil Sutcliffe, how did you start playing the accordion?
Well, I grew up in a very musical family. My whole family is musical, and I actually started on violin at the beginning and got lessons for a long time, and then got onto piano. When I discovered piano, I got really hooked on that and really enjoyed it, and that became my thing and really was my main instrument until about 7 years ago, when accordion started to take more of the limelight. But the story of how I started accordion is all down to my friend Vincent Usitis, who I've known all my life. And in primary school one day, he came in at lunchtime. We were about 7, 8 years old. And he came in with an accordion. And he had learned a couple of tunes, and he was so popular. I mean, everyone was kind of, oh, Vincent, oh, the accordion. And I naively thought, I've got an accordion at home. I can be popular too. And the next day I brought in my dad's small accordion. Of course, by that time it was old news, we've seen that before. It didn't
Yeah,
work.
yeah. Second time is not the best time to go for that.
It's not so good. But since then I started playing accordion and was mostly self-taught for many years and the last 3 years I've been studying classical accordion at the Conservatoire in Glasgow. So that's kind of roughly the potted version of the accordion story.
So, you can ask me, how did I start telling stories? And then I will say, oh, Neil, that's a very good question. Because when I started in 1994, I mean, that's a long time ago. But in 1994, I became a teacher at the high school, Borch High School in Copenhagen. And it was quite boring, this morning assemblies with all these books that the teachers had to do something cultural. And they were showing films, they were reading out from the newspaper or reading out from the book. But one day I said, when I was 4 years old, we had a television in our house. And everybody went, what's going on with this guy? That's strange. I remember it's more like, that's strange, than it was, oh, fantastic. It was more like, what's going on? Why is she doing this? And then when I finished my story, it was like, yeah, it was all right. It was nothing sort of fantastic about that, but it was okay. But we had lunch then, and then I heard one of the guys telling the story, and I was like, that had never happened with a book. And I have never ever seen anyone of my students retell anything from the book. So I thought, I am going to find out what this storytelling is about. And ever since, that's 1994, that's about many years ago, I've been trying to figure out what is this storytelling actually. But the first thing now, what?
Have you worked it out yet? Have you?
No.
Do you know what?
No, it's a lifelong thing. It's just no. Well, you always get this kind of, yeah, I got the answer, but in a moment it's just no, you don't. It's not going to be like it's on a formal. It's if on a line where you can describe it and understand it. It's more like you're getting to understand it a little bit better, but never the full meaning of what's going on. It's a mystery, but it's good. Good mystery.
Would you like to hear my prepared piece?
Yes.
All right.
I'd love to hear your prepared piece.
So over the last 2 or 3 days, I have been thinking a lot about birds, because every day when I take my one bit of exercise, my one walk outside, I find that one of the things that brings me the most peace and relaxation and kind of helps me escape from all the madness in your head and everything that's going on is the sound of the birds just singing and seeing them. And it kind of just feels like life is carrying on for them and will always carry on for them, whatever's happening for us. So I thought I'd actually start by telling a wee story about birds and then sing a little song about staying on the happy side of life and kind of keeping positive and cheerful through these dark times. I think you might have heard it a long time ago, but I only told it to you once, so we'll see if you remember. It's a story that comes from the Amazon in Brazil. And a long, long time ago in the Amazon rainforest, there were hundreds and hundreds of different types of birds, just as many as there are today, but they were very different. They had no colors in their feathers. All they had were black or grey or white. Maybe brown was the most exotic color that these birds had. And this is a story about how the Amazon rainforest birds got their beautiful colors. So at this time in the rainforest, there was a great peace between the Indians, the humans that lived in the forest, and all the animals, and in particular the birds. They could understand each other, they could talk to each other, and they often did. They were friends, they used to go hunting for food together, and they would share knowledge and experience and tell stories to one another. And everything was peaceful in the forest. They lived in complete harmony, except for one thing. In the huge river, the Amazon River, that snaked through the forest, there lived a terrible, terrible monster. A huge serpent, a huge river snake, with a body as thick as a cow. Some people said it was a mile long, but no one had ever seen it apart from the huge, ugly black head, which came snapping out of the water and dragged down women, children, men, animals, birds, anything that got close to the river. All anyone had ever seen was this ugly black head. This went on for years and years and years, until one day it was enough. The Indians came together and had a huge meeting of all the tribes in the forest, and they called the birds down, and all the birds of the forest came, and there was a huge meeting between the birds and the Indians. And the chieftain of the Indians stood up and said, "Enough is enough. We must do something. Every day people are dying because of this great, huge monster. We must come together, and together maybe we can fight this creature." The king of the birds stood up, and the queen of the birds, shall we say, stood up, and she said, "You're right. For us too, birds are dying every single day. Perhaps if we come together, birds and men and women, we can fight this creature and beat it once and for all." So the Indians, they sharpened their spears, and the birds sharpened their beaks, and they set off as a huge army towards the river. Now the great serpent, who was coiling his way in and out of the river, heard the shouting, the commotion, the noise, and the stamping of feet. And he licked his lips, thinking that more people were coming to the side of the river. But he poked his head just above the water, like a crocodile does, so his eyes could just see what was happening. And when he saw this huge army gathering beside the river, he realized he was in danger. Never before had so many Indians and birds come to fight him. So he dived deep, deep, deep down into the murky, muddy waters And he curled himself into the roots of a huge tree that was like a web underneath the river and waited. While the great army of Indians and birds arrived by the side of the river and started shouting and making as much noise as possible and beating on the trees, but nothing happened. There was no sign of the great monster, the huge snake. They shouted and kept going for hours and hours, but at one point they called everyone together, and the chieftain of the Indians said, "Look, it's no good. Someone will have to go into the water. Someone will have to swim down into the water and lure out the great monster." And he turned to the birds and said, "Well, you know, us Indians, us humans, we're not so good in water. We're much better fighting on land. It should be one of you." But the queen of the birds said indignantly, No, we birds, we are in the air. If we can fight in the air, it should be one of you. It should be one of you." And so one by one, a great argument started between the birds and the Indians, the humans just shouting at one another, saying, "It's you, you should go, no, you should go." And deep in the river, the serpent heard all this and licked his lips. But at one point, above all the commotion, over all the shouting, one single shrill voice called out, "Stop, stop, stop, everybody. We can't argue, it will get us nowhere. I will go into the river." It was the cormorant, a beautiful bird with its long neck and sharp beak. He spent most of his days down by the river fishing and could swim very powerfully by beating his wings underwater. Even though he was a good swimmer, he was afraid to go into the river. But he flew high up into the sky and then dropped like a stone and dived deep down into the muddy water. He beat his wings and swam until he could see in the roots of this huge tree the serpent. But he stopped in the water. Taken aback, no one had ever seen the body of the serpent, only the ugly black head. And there he saw it was covered in glittering scales with blues and yellows and reds and golds and silvers shining in the muddy water. It was like a buried treasure under the river. He was so taken aback, so surprised, that he almost forgot his task. But then he saw the ugly black head, and with a fierce beat of his wings, he shot like a bullet towards the serpent and attacked, biting and stabbing at his body and his eyes and his face. The great serpent was caught completely off guard. He hadn't expected an attack underwater, and he found himself trapped in the roots of the tree. By the time he'd freed himself, he was mortally wounded, stabbed all over by the cormorant's beak. With his last bit of energy, he made a snap for the bird, but the serpent was too quick. The cormorant was too quick and shot away up out of the water. There was a great cheer from the Indians and the birds when they saw the cormorant shooting up into the sky, and then a silence. The whole forest was silent as they watched from the depths of this black river the body of the serpent rising slowly up to the surface. When the Indians saw the beautiful colors, the shining golds and silvers, they took long poles, long branches, and heaved the serpent's body up onto the bank. They took out their knives and started cutting away the skin. But the queen of the birds flew down and said, "Stop, stop. That's our prize. It was the cormorant. It was a bird who slayed this monster. That skin is ours." But the Indians, who were blinded by their lust for this beautiful skin, just laughed and said, "What would you birds do with this skin? These colors, come on. We can make much better use of it. We will make beautiful clothes, coats. You couldn't even lift it to carry it away." That was a mistake, because they had forgotten about all the birds that were hovering in the sky. Every single bird in the Amazon rainforest swooped down, grabbed the skin, and flew up, 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 carrying it high above their heads. The angry Indians shot arrows and threw stones after them, but they were too far away. Miles away, the birds put the skin down, and then one by one they started choosing out beautiful colours, blues and reds and golds for their own feathers. So now, when you go to the Amazon, you will see parrots with blue and red and yellow and green finches with beautiful greens and golden eyes. In all the panic, though, in all the excitement, they forgot about the poor cormorant, and all that was left for him at the end was the big, ugly black head. But he was a brave and humble bird, and he took this black cloak, put it around himself, and just went back to fish in the river. And the Indians never forget that day. From that moment on, never again was there peace between the birds and the Indians. Never again could they understand one another. And they remember that day every time they see a rainbow in the sky. They remember the skin being carried away from them by the birds. And that's the story of how the birds in the Amazon got their colours.
Beautiful story, man. Thank you for that one. Yeah, that's good. I liked it.
And just carrying on from that, I thought I'd sing a very short wee song, which I think is very important for times at the moment. It's called Keep on the Sunny Side, and it's a very old American song, actually. It was written in the early 20th century, possibly before that.
Are you looking at the what are you looking at now?
I have a little sheet of music about it. It was written in 1899.
All right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's a lovely song. Keep on the Sunny Side. I've got my dad's concertina here to play a little bit. Let me just. There's a dark and a troubled side of life. There's a bright and a sunny side too. Though we meet with the darkness and strife, the sunny side we also may view. Keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side of life. It will help us every day, it will brighten all the way, if we'll keep on the sunny side of life. The storm and its fury broke today, crushing hopes that we cherish so dear. Clouds and storms will in time pass away. The sun again will shine bright and clear. Keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side of life. It will help us every day, it will brighten all the way, if we'll keep on the sunny side of life. Let us greet with a song of hope each day. Though the moments be cloudy or fair, let us trust in our friends always, to keep one another in their care. Oh, keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side of life. It will help us every day, it will brighten all the way, if we'll keep on the sunny side of life.
Thank you, man.
I think it's a good song for these times.
Yeah, it is. All right. When I came to Scotland, I invited my daughter up here in January, and one of the things that really struck us was that as we were walking from the Fountain Bridge, and I have this special little path that I sort of behind the buildings. It's kind of hidden in a way. It's my little hidden gem. And as we were coming up there, we heard a bird song in the middle of the night, and it was like, what? What's that? I mean, we don't have as many robins and you have here in Scotland. Robins are everywhere, and they sing in the middle of January, in the middle of the night. They just go, and they sing and they sing, and it's so joyful just to experience that. So Karen and me were just, what's that song? And then after a while, I discovered that there are more of these beautiful small birds, and they're not afraid of humans. Have discovered that it just comes to you. They sit very close, and
They're
they just
very, they're quite kind of slightly arrogant, not
yeah.
arrogant. They're proud birds. They're kind of, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
It's
Well,
very,
we call that bird a bullheads, a red neck. And that is because the reason why they have this red color here is because when Jesus Christ was walking with the cross towards Golgotha to be crucified, he had this ring of thorns, and one of the thorns that set was in his forehead here, and the blood was streaming down. And this little robin, as we called it, the red neck, saw that, so it flew down and took the thorn out of Jesus Christ's forehead. But by doing that, the blood spread here, so he was covered in blood in front of him. And from that robin, all the robins in the world and now have this red breast.
oh wow, that's a great story.
It's quite nice.
It's interesting. It's red neck in Danish.
It's well, we call it a red neck. Yeah, we call it a red neck, but it's more the chest.
Well,
Yeah.
often, yeah, in English, you often hear the term robin redbreast.
Robin redbreast. It's much more like it looks like. It's redbreast, and it's much more what happened if you were there, the little bird, and helped Jesus, and then the blood will actually not go on the little part here, but on the breast, of course. It's
well, I don't really think of robins having necks so much. You know, they're kind of.
No. But it's called bullheads. I don't know why. But thank you so much for that story and that song. Neil, it's always nice. So I have prepared something for you, and that is a story from Denmark. It starts in a auditorium in a engineering high school, and there's this woman sitting far back in the corner there because she is really struggling. She's really having a very, very hard time being a student in this, with all these, especially men these days. What's happening to her is that when she's together with somebody who has used perfume or aftershave or deodorant, whatever they're using, she gets straight into her nostrils. It's just like, and her eyes goes red and she starts crying. And after 10 minutes, maybe quarter of an hour, she just have to leave, go home in this apartment of hers where she's safe. When she's out, she's constantly in the threat of meeting someone who has just sprayed his, especially men, right? There's a lot of men these days that goes around and smells very, very, as according to them, very good, but for her it was hell. And she was struggling with it every single day. And one day she decided enough is enough. I don't want to go to the university, to the engineering high school today. I'm going to go out in the nature. And there are absolutely no places in Denmark where you can find nature. It's gone. It's one big park. Everything is really sort of made by humans. So if you have to go to a place where there's nature in Denmark, you have to go to Sweden. You've been there, right? Ljungby, all the trees. There's a lot of trees there, and that's nature. And she was on her way there. She sat in the train. She was really excited about it, and she decided that she just had to go with the train, and suddenly she would find a good spot and get off. That's her way of traveling today. So she was coming into this belt of forest, and as she stood off the train, it was on a little hill there, she saw a lake quite far away, a little lake. It was sort of mid-afternoon. She was getting a little hungry. She hadn't really done a lot of preparation for that. Had a little knickbröd from Sweden, you know, this crackers. It's very good, very good. And brown cheese. She loved that as well. And an apple. That was all right. Everything was okay with that. And she started walking towards that lake. By the lake, there lived a young troll. You heard of trolls, right?
Yeah.
Creatures with a lot of hair, and they smell like nature. They smell of soil, wet soil. Um, the lake is there. It's a little fishy, and heather and pines. It's like the forest itself. It's a troll is more or less like the forest. And he was lying there by this lake and literally crying because he had to leave this place now. He had lived there for a year now, lived all by himself, and a troll is not supposed to be at a place by himself, right? He had to call in a female troll. So he has been out of his territory and trying to catch attention of a female troll. You know what they do? They go like, Helga, Helga, Helga. And then a female troll goes like, oh, wow, he can really go for the Haga. I think I need to find out what that is. But the problem was there was a lot of other male troll as well that heard this Haga. So they came and said, you're going to Haga me. I'm going to Haga you. And then they gave him the really beaten. He's been all around where this lake was, and he found out no female troll without a male troll beating him. Nearly one day he was really beaten very badly. So that's why he's lying there. He had cooked some fish, very nice fish. It's a very big fish. Actually, the right size for two, right? You can have half fish and then, but the half fish was just lying there with some blueberries and a little fungus as well. Everything was perfect, just waiting for the woman. He was lying there on the side and he was looking at the sunset. The sunset that was so beautiful, all the colors in the world. It was incredible. And he was just lying there longing for this female troll. She came down the hill, this girl that has this problem with the smell, and saw the beautiful sunset on the lake, and she was enchanted. And then she got the smell. It smelled like fish. Somebody had cooked some fish, and she walked all the way down there to the lake, and she saw the fish, and she was going, I'm quite hungry. And then she saw the troll. A troll from behind is not a nice sight. Really, it's not beautiful at all. But she was like, he must be sleeping very fast, very sort of hard. He doesn't react when I come here. And she was coming closer and closer and closer and started eating some of this fish. And he was just pretending that he was sleeping. He was started snoring a little bit as well. I'm really doing this very good. And she had the fish, she had the blueberries, she had the fungus, and it was very nice. And she went down and had a little, well, she had the piss, and then she pissed in the lake, and then she drank. That was the wrong way around. She discovered that. She was not used to being living in the forest. Come on. But then she realized another thing. I mean, it was cold, right? And now it was evening. It was really getting really, really dark, and the troll was still going on. pretending that he was fast asleep. So she was lying very close to this little fire that he made. But that fire didn't really made it out for something nice. So she thought, I could. So he was lying, you know how it is. We call it to lie in a spoon. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she was slowly coming closer and closer, and then finally she found herself very close to this troll. I don't know if you know that, but in every troll's in the back, they have a little hole like this, perfect for a human nose to go straight into. You know, it fitted perfect for her. She was just going in, and she thought, now I'm going to get it. I'm going to get this strange sensation of whatever he has, and I can't stand it. But in a moment, she went into this little hole there. What was there? There was heather, there was wet soil, there was this pine, there was this fungus. Everything was just perfect. And she fell asleep close to the troll, who wasn't asleep at all. He was. Oh, that's my story.
Oh, that's that is wonderful, Sven.
Thank you.
I can't get this image of the hole out of my head, just right for the human nose, like a key in a lock. And
he was a little disappointed when he saw her in the morning, but it was all right. She was tiny. She was, and you know, you know what a troll does when it has to give milk to the little ones sitting on the back. A troll woman just takes the breast and throw it in behind. You know.
Oh man.
Okay, give something back to me now. It's time.
When I was
are you drinking tea?
actually, I'm just drinking water, but it looks very fancy.
I'm gonna have a cup of tea after this.
Tea is so good. Well, I don't know. There's a couple of things. There's two songs that came to mind.
You have to choose.
I do have to choose, and one is long and one is a lot shorter. So I think I might do the shorter one. When you started talking about the fish, one of these, there's a lovely song called Up and Awa with the Leiverick, which means up and away with the lark in the morning. And it's all about that feeling of in the morning, kind of the sun comes up and you just want to get out fishing. You want to go up into the glens, into the hills with your rod and your gear, and just, it's a great song. Yeah, so I think I'll sing that. Up and awa with the Leiverick, up and awa in the morning. Up and awa with the Leiverick, up and awa to the hills for me. We are casting your cut and your flea and your chuck, we are casting your cut and your rod and your reel. We are casting your cut in a wee pickle, like you'll have plenty of fish for tippet in your creel. Up and awa with a Leiverick, up and awa in the morning. Up and awa with a Leiverick, up and awa to the hills for me. There's strut in the John, there's strut in Lochal. There's strut in the Leave and the Tummel, the Spey. Loch Cakeran's waters are good for a barker, the American slaughter, the American fry. Up and awa with a Leiverick, up and awa in the morning. Up and awa with a Leiverick, up and awa to the hills for me. We are can on the fire, you're laird of the Shire. We are can on your fire, you're making your tea. We are can on the fire, you canny we'll tire of the people in Carlow's curling free. Up and awa with a Leiverick, up and awa in the morning. Up and awa with a Leiverick, up and awa to the hills for me. Up and awa with a Leiverick, up and awa in the morning. Up and awa with a laybrick, up and awa to the hills for me.
Oh, it's amazing. Whenever we talk about what that reminds me of, it reminds you of a song. It reminds
Yeah,
me of a story, right? It's like, you go straight into that, and it's now I've known you some years now. It's like there's just another one coming. There's another one coming. There's another one coming, and it's just amazing to be part of, to be on that voyage with you. It's very nice. Thank you so much, young
yes.
man. We did it. I think we finished this duet for today.
Yeah,
How do you feel about it?
I have enjoyed it very, very much.
Yeah, it's
I,
quite fun, right?
the
It's
story
good.
about this, the troll smell is just brilliant.
The
I'll never
whole
forget
melody. Oh, it's cool.
the
Yeah.
whole.
This I don't even know of. I mean, I'm still working on the English language. So this bird, right? The cat,
The laverick.
yeah, the bird that attacked the serpent,
Oh, the cormorant.
the cormorant. I actually I think it's a scow.
You think
It,
it's a scow?
it's a black bird, right? And they fish,
Blackbird,
like,
long black neck.
yeah, and they go up in the sky and then dive down there. Yeah, and the fishermen don't like them because there's so many of them and they eat a lot
Although,
of fish.
although I can't remember where, it might be in China. They have trained cormorants to fish for them.
And they come back and then wow,
But
it's cool. All right, thank you, Neil. We stopped the recording now, right?
yeah, that's great. Thank you so much, Ben.
Thank you so much. Take care. Okay.
You too.